Hi there, Steve Stine here again. Today I'm going to be discussing how to solo. I had someone that requested an idea. They wanted to know how I would approach improvising over the top of something. And so what I want to do is give you a few pointers on things that you should think about and things that you should know to begin trying to work through soloing. So here's what happens. If you were going to solo over something, I'm going to give you some basic tips to think about. What I'm going to do first here is I'm just going to solo over this little progression. The chord progression is C, G, A minor, and F. And I'm just going to solo over that, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what I was doing and kind of some things to think about. So here we go. All right. Okay, so let's just talk about that a little bit. Now, I could keep going on here, and I don't know what I'm using. I'm just, or in terms of, I haven't worked out a solo or anything like that, so I just want you to think about some of the things that I'm doing and see if they can help you a little bit. So the first thing you're going to do when you want to solo over something, there's four main things you're going to think about. The first thing you're going to do is figure out the key of the song. Is it in B minor? Is it in C major? Is it in G major? Is it in A minor? What key is your song in? The second thing you're going to figure out is the scale that you're going to be using. What scale did you choose? Okay? The third thing you're going to do is you're going to choose various rhythm examples of things that you're going to be using within the context of your solo. And I call that a rhythm tree, and I'll show you that. And then the fourth thing you want to do is you want to start thinking about the chords that are being played and how to create melody with those chords. Okay? So let's break all this down. So the first thing is my chord progression is going C, G, A minor, and F. So I'm in the key of C, okay? And again, if you don't know all those sorts of things, I have instructional material out there to teach you all kinds of stuff like that, but this is centered on how to think about improvising, so I'm not going to go through all of those things, okay? So this is in the key of C, C, G, A minor, F. So I know that. The second thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to choose a scale that's appropriate to solo with. Now, I just chose to use pentatonic because that's what most people know how to play. I am going to do another example using diatonic in another video, but right now we're just going to use pentatonic. Okay? So what I've got to do is I've got to find a C major pentatonic scale. And if you know anything about pentatonic scales, C major and A minor are the same thing. So depending on how you want to see it in your head, you could go play C major pentatonic. Most people find it by going to C on the 6th string and then moving backwards 3 frets. Or you could just think of the relative minor, which is A minor pentatonic, and you're going to get the same thing. So that way we're setting up our fretboard with a scale that we can utilize. Now, of course, the fretboard is dependent on how much or how little you know of that scale. If you just know the first position, that's all you're going to use for soloing, and that's perfectly fine. But needless to say, the more you understand about your fretboard, the more fun it is because you can kind of move all over the place and do different things. Okay? So pentatonic, that's what I've chosen. A C major pentatonic, which is the same as A minor pentatonic. Now to that rhythm tree thing. Rhythm tree, okay, or a rhythm pyramid, so to speak. What I do is I get students to understand that if they're going to solo over the top of something, they need to understand their physical limitations relative to the speed of the song. Because when you go in there and you want to start making up something, whatever it is that you choose to do is going to have to fit to a certain degree on a rhythmic level. Now, that doesn't mean you can't just go off and do things. Of course you can. But for now, we're going to talk about things that are concrete. So let me play you this, and let me show you what I mean by that rhythm pyramid or rhythm tree. Okay? So I'm going to just play this pentatonic scale over the top of that progression. So I'm going to play quarter notes. Now, if I want to do eighth notes, I'd have sixteenths. Okay? So, the idea is that I've got 3 essential things I'm going to be using. Quarter notes, eighth notes and 16th notes. And again, they're names. It doesn't really matter what you call them, but you're going twice as fast as the last one every time. Now, I'm going to use half notes and whole notes on the other side of things by just stopping sometimes. And that's what phrasing is all about, is when I'm playing, I need to make sure that I can stop. I'm not just playing the whole time, because then even if you're doing something really impressive, if you don't ever stop, nobody can tell. It's just the same thing over and over and over. So you have to try and use some elements of phrasing, and we'll get to that in a second as well. So I've got the key of C, I've got my pentatonic scale, and now I've got these 3 levels of rhythms that I'm going to try and use within the context of my soloing. So before I even worry about the 4th thing that I mentioned, I just want to explore these 3 things. So here we go. So kind of give you an idea. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to make things up. Do-dan, do-dan, dun-da-ka-da-da-da-da-dum, just whatever, right? Now again, I'm going to be limited by my abilities, and that's why practice is so important, that you get better at seeing, you get better at doing, you know? But anyway, so that's what I'm using, and you'll see I was moving around the pentatonic scale trying to make up different things. So the last thing I've got is I've got trying to follow around these chords to a certain degree to create melody. So for instance, if it's a C chord that's being played underneath me, if I can play something that has to do with C, it's going to sound relatively melodic over that. If it goes to a G chord and I can emphasize something in my solo that sounds relative to the G chord, it's again going to sound a bit more melodic. And again, this all goes really deep, and I don't have the time on this video to just go in that, but I'm just trying to show you some ideas of things to think about and things to research. Okay? So on the C chord, what I would want to do is I'd want to find something that has to do with C. If you know your theory, then you know all the notes that are in your chords. If you know all the notes on your fretboard, then you know where those are as well, which is great. If you can see a vast amount of different chord shapes around your fretboard, like you can see that C is here, and G is here, and A minor is here, and F is here, or whatever, you can follow those chord shapes around and land on different notes. So let me show you how a melody would work, and I'm just going to play really basic, just following these chords around a little bit. So I know it's going to start with C, G, A minor, F, so I'm just going to play those notes. I'm going to find notes that are relative to those chords. So here we go. So I'm starting on a C chord, right? So nothing fancy at all. I'm just trying to follow those chords around using some different rhythm ideas, okay? And again, I wouldn't do that my entire solo. I might shake my solo up to be, this part's going to be really melodic, and then I'm going to go off here a little bit, and then I'm going to come back. And the big thing I always tell my students as well is that you're always thinking about contrast. If you played fast, play slow. If you played high, play low. If you played a lot, play a little. You're just always trying to back things up and change things around as much as you can to make them sound kind of interesting. So that's some ideas for you, and I hope that helps you with kind of how to approach some soloing tactics. And again, if you do some research on me, you'll find there's all kinds of things out there that you could learn you know, a bit more in depth about with this soloing thing. So I'm going to be back with another video, and that one is going to move into talking about diatonic a little bit. So take care, and make sure that if you have any requests for anything that you click on the link, and I'd be more than happy to show it to you.